Feel that jolt in your chest right now, the one that makes your thumb freeze mid-scroll, and your brain ask, wait, are they actually doing this? The arena lights aren't even on, and yet the air already tastes like Game 7. The kind of rumor that slams the brakes on your day, that makes the group chat go from emojis to essays, that forces you to choose between the comfort of a future promise and the urgency of a title window, closing one breath at a time. This is not clickbait. This is the kind of whisper that tests your faith in how the Warriors are built and what they're willing to give up to stay in that small, cold room where only contenders are allowed. And the names attached? One is the future you've been defending for 2 years like it's your own. The other is the kind of two-way guard who doesn't blink when the fourth quarter turns into a knife fight. Before anybody jumps to conclusions, lock in. Picture the front office's whiteboard with arrows, contingencies, and 5 versions of cost versus reliability. Hear the practice buzz, the short conversations between veteran leaders about details, and the coaching staff arguing over who actually survives in May when teams stop giving you what you want. Think of how teams that live on the margins operate. Grit that makes you uncomfortable. Precision that never apologizes. You want a visual? Think Dan Campbell's unapologetic edge next to Ben Johnson's surgical calm, culture that hits first, details that never stop. The question in front of the Warriors feels exactly like that contradiction. Keep a rising flame and risk draft season mistakes in the playoffs, or cash in the promise for a guard who turns chaos into soft landings. Here's how we're rolling tonight. We're going to break down the trade's basketball logic without playing accountant cosplay. Lay out the on-court dominoes it triggers in the rotation. Examine how it rewires late-game offense, corner spacing, and defensive coverage. And map the paths where this is genius, where it's reckless, and where it lives in that gray space champions walk through with gritted teeth. No spoilers yet. You'll get the logic, then the headline. Because headlines without logic are how fans lose the plot and how franchises lose years. This is Warriors News Fan Report. If you live for honest breakdowns at midnight and reality checks with morning coffee, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and drop your take below. We argue like family here. We celebrate like family here. And when the Bay starts buzzing, we stand in it together. Start with the identity. The Warriors' best version has always been a dance between chaos and control. Steph bending gravity until the floor looks like an Escher painting, and a handful of players who turn that gravity into advantages without spiking the turnover meter. When this machine misfires, it's not because talent disappears. It's because the second side becomes sticky and the defense can't keep the shell intact long enough for the offense to land punches. That's when you feel the need for one more adult on the perimeter. Someone who defends the point of attack, rotates like a metronome, and keeps the ball from dying. You know the archetype. You know why contenders overpay for it every April. Now, zoom in on the pain point you've been feeling. End of quarter possessions and late game execution. This group needs fewer perfect reads and more safe ones that still hurt the defense. That means someone who screens with purpose, ghosts with timing, and makes a 0.5 decision that's always the right kind of boring. It also means someone who, when opponents try to hunt mismatches, doesn't panic, slides, contests, and lives with the math. And yes, it means a guard who understands that Steph's gravity isn't a sightseeing tour, it's a job. Cut on the 45, set the flare at the right angle, hit the slot, and be ready to fire or drive the top foot. The playoffs don't forgive indecision. They don't reward potential. They reward habits, development matters, pride matters. We all love seeing a young player go from flashes to fire. But development runs on minutes you can't always afford. When a rookie becomes a starter, he goes from surprise to scouting report. When a young wing becomes the second option, the league stops giving him his favorite spots. That's when you learn who's ready and who needs another season of reps. It's not an indictment. It's a calendar. And this core, Steph's window, Draymond's voice, the system's soul, doesn't live on a rookie timeline. It lives on Tuesday night at altitude after a back-to-back, and it lives in Game 5 when the other coach just took away the first 3 things you love. So, Why is the room buzzing? Because there's a version of the Warriors where one surgical move changes the conversation, and it looks a lot like adding a top-tier two-way guard who treats the last 5 minutes like he's been there 1,000 times. A player who chases over without fouling, who tags the roller without losing the shooter, who turns your worst defensive possessions into fine. We'll take the easy one. The kind of player who, when the clouds roll in, becomes the team's weather system. We are not talking about stardom. We're talking about trust. All right. Deep breath. Here's the part you came for right after we lay the runway straight. Introduction over. The headline, the Warriors are positioned to move Jonathan Kuminga in a deal centered on Derek White. No euphemisms. No dancing. The organization is actively exploring a framework that sends a high-ceiling 22-year-old slashing, rim-pressuring forward out, and brings back one of the league's most reliable two-way guards in return. The signal is simple, even if the final package is fluid. Raise the floor around Steph with a defender connector closer, even if it costs the brightest developmental stock on the roster. Let's be grown-ups about fact versus smoke. The directional interest is real. The finishing details are the ocean in between. Names tacked on, picks debated, protections argued, timing massaged. This is how it works. A phone call here, a counter there, 3 teams at once, then back to 2. The essence remains. White's profile is exactly what coaches trust in the deep water. Kuminga's profile is exactly what front offices covet when they want tomorrow. That's why this rumor refuses to die. It matches needs on both sides. Basketball first. White next to Steph is basketball oxygen. Offensively, think about the actions that unlock this system when it hums. Split cuts into ghost screens, empty corner pick and roll where the tagger's stuck. Spain looks that force miscommunication, early offense pitch ahead into dribble handoff, and those nasty 45 cuts that punish the nail help. White is a 0.5 savant. Catch, read, deliver. He doesn't command the ball. He escorts the possession to a good ending. He screens guards like a forward, cuts like a wing, and shoots well enough that you can't fake help. That matters more than his counting stats ever will. When teams blitz Steph, White's job is to be the release valve who turns 2 on the ball into a long closeout or a layup. When teams switch, White's job is to punish the weakest defender with angles, not hero ball. It's adult offense. Defensively, White is the antidote to playoff cruelty. He stays attached without grabbing, he absorbs contact, he talks early, and he finishes the possession. Point of attack resistance? Check. Backside discipline? Check. Late clock composure? Check. He won't erase your sins, but he shrinks them. Draymond's life gets easier because the first line doesn't break as often. Steph's life gets cleaner because he isn't asked to be in 2 places at once. Your weak side rotations become shorter. Your fouls become smarter. The shot quality you give up slides from open in rhythm to contested and annoyed. That's how you survive the second round. Now the cost, which is both basketball and emotional. Kuminga is not a footnote. He's an explosion in sneakers, downhill force, second jump violence, budding mid-post craft, and a real sense that the ceiling kept climbing every month he was trusted. He gives you paint touches without a ball screen, rim pressure without design, and a certain fear factor that makes defenses load early. Trading that away is not just numbers. It's juice. It's the part of the Warriors that felt new again. It's the, are we sure we want to guard that? Energy you can't fabricate. Anyone pretending this is easy hasn't watched the kid put a defender on his heels from a dead stop. So why even consider it? Because in the playoffs, your weaknesses get circled with a red marker and repeated until you answer the question or go home. Kuminga's handle under playoff pressure still asked questions. His help decisions on defense still asked questions. His off-ball timing in the thickest moments still asked questions. Those can absolutely be answered. Growth is real, but the answers might live on next year's calendar. White's answers live on this one. That's the trade. Proof today for potential tomorrow. Rotation math time. If the move happens, the shape likely looks like this: Steph plus White as your starting guard line, with Brandon Podziemski toggling between secondary creator and lineup glue. Clay in a role that punishes second defenders, and feasts on space GP2 as the defensive sledgehammer in targeted minutes. Wiggins as the size wing who either benefits from less on-ball burden or becomes your swing variable again. Draymond anchoring the backline and orchestrating with the 5 spot managed by matchups and energy, Looney screens and IQ when you need order, a vertical spacer when you need chaos. The bench tightens to 9, variance shrinks, and the staff has fewer hope minutes to survive. It's not sexy. It's probably better. Offensive texture improves in boring ways that win. The second unit's sins, stall outs, bad spacing, no north-south thrust, get covered by White's ability to keep a possession on the tracks. Your late-game menu expands, empty corner, PNR into Spain, post split with White, screening the screener, hammer action where his timing forces the weak side choice. Those tiny bends stack into cushions that keep runs from becoming avalanches. Meanwhile, Steph's off-ball life gets cleaner because White is a credible second advantage creator who doesn't hijack the rhythm. That's the needle. Help without friction. Defensive identity snaps into place faster. Point of attack doesn't require cross-matching acrobatics every night. Wiggins can take the bigger wing without living on an island. Draymond preserves energy for quarterbacking instead of erasing fires he didn't start. Lineups with White, GP2, Wiggins, and Draymond become a vice. Switch, scram, peel, tag, rebound, repeat. You won't become 2016 overnight. You don't have to. You just have to stop bleeding in the same places. The cap sheet subtext exists. We all know it. Cost-controlled talent is oxygen in a punitive CBA, and moving it for mid-prime money has real opportunity cost. Picks become more precious. Flexibility becomes more theoretical. That's the adult anxiety of this front office era. But there's also the adult relief of paying for reliability where it matters most. The line you draw is thin. Give enough. To matter not so much that you mortgage the next 2 summers. If Boston's ask tilts into silliness, you hang up. If the ask lives in strong but sane, you keep talking. Counterarguments deserve oxygen. 1. Are we sure you can't get 80% of White's impact by letting Kuminga fail forward for another year while leaning harder into Podziemski's growth and GP2's health? 2. Are we overreacting to a handful of ugly late-game reels and forgetting how often youth-powered wins from January to March? 3. Do you risk trading away the one athlete on the roster who scares people and then spend the next year trying to draft a lesser version of the same thing? These are not straw men. These are the reasons fans get sick reading rumors like this. The do-it camp's answers are equally real. Playoff basketball punishes hope. You need adults who turn 2 on the ball into layups and late clock into clean looks. You need guards who talk defense like a first language. You need to stop asking Steph to be Houdini every fourth quarter. White does those things on Tuesday in Memphis and on Sunday in Denver and on Thursday in Phoenix without demanding the light. The ring math says a reliable B+ that never craters is worth more than an A+ that shows up twice a week and a C that shows up on the wrong nights. There's also the message this sends to the locker room, to the veterans. We're still pushing chips in, to the young guys. The standard is the standard. Minutes are earned where the air is thin. To the star who built this house, we're using your window, not just admiring it. That matters. Teams feel it when the front office hesitates. Teams feel it when the front office sharpens its teeth. The best programs, yes, like the edge of Campbell and the design of Johnson, decide who they are and then behave like it every day. If the Warriors decide they are a win now with smart, tough perimeter adults team, this trade lines up with that. Let's talk fit one layer deeper. With White, the Warriors can lean harder into second side first. Steph bends the shell. White catches on the move. Draymond becomes the third action finisher instead of the emergency bailout. Inverted pick and rolls return with real bite because defenses can't stash their weakest guard on a non-threat. Horns and Chicago actions create short rolls for White where his floater pass read is ruthless. And because he screens so willingly, you force the smallest defender into decisions they hate. That's playoff gold. For Boston, the appeal of Kuminga is not complicated, juice and ceiling. Put him against second units and let him live downhill. Pair him with a table setter and shooters and watch him pressure the rim until the corner shakes. Teach the help rules, pound footwork until it's second nature, and dare him to make your staff look smart by spring. That staff has earned the benefit of the doubt with player development. If you're them, you take the swing and trust the ecosystem. None of this guarantees parades. Trades like this aren't about guarantees, they're about variance. White reduces it. That's the value. Your bad nights get less bad. Your good nights become easier. Your stars margins feel wider. There's courage in that kind of humility, choosing steadiness over sizzle, process over potential, especially in a franchise that built a dynasty on audacity. Maybe the bravest thing this version of the Warriors can do is be boring in the exact, surgical ways that win in June, my opinion. It hurts to say yes, and I would still say yes at the right price. I'm protective of rare athletic ceilings, and I believe in the leaps that happen when a young player's light turns on for good. But I also believe in matching decisions to windows. If the framework lands in strong but sane, no absurd pick hauls, no reckless add-ons that kneecap the next summer, then swapping Kuminga's volatility for White's reliability aligns with the responsibility you owe to Steph's era. If the ask crosses into tax for your desperation, I'd walk and live with the growing pains. Don't sell hope for a name, sell some hope for a habit. If Derek White is the habit you're buying, the basketball case is real. You're up, Dub Nation. Does the floor-raising calm of a two-way closer next to Steph beat the adrenaline rush of a young wing growing into terror status on your watch? Would you move promise for peace of mind in the fourth quarter, or would you bet on time again and dare the West to keep you from seeing the leap through? Drop it below. This is Warriors News Fan Report. Subscribe, hit that bell, keep the conversation ruthless and respectful. When this story goes from rumor board to transaction log or dies on the 5-yard line, you'll hear it here first.